Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So we are on chapter 10. Today we'll be doing verse 15. And last week in verse 14, Arjuna is talking right now. He is doing like a stuti, they call it. And last verse, he said, I believe all this that you say to me as true, O Keshava. Verily, O blessed Lord, neither the Devas nor the Danavas know your manifestations, identity. So basically, he was just, showing his Shraddha that I believe in you. He doesn't have the experience, and he has he said even Devas and Danavas don't know you, but obviously the Rishi Munis who are self-realized, they have an understanding of who God is. So from that perspective, then he moves forward. And here in verse 15, Swayamevatmana manam vetha tvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. So Swayam is yourself, eva only, Atmanam, by yourself. Atmanam, yourself, Vetha, no. So it's you know yourself by yourself. Tvam is you, Purushottama. So we have heard of this word, Purushottam. Some people even have the name. It means best among the men, but it has a much deeper meaning. It's Purusha, like we saw last time, is it represents, that Brahman. Bhuta Bhavana, source of all being. And Bhutesha, Lord of all beings. Deva Deva, he's so many beautiful words he's saying. O God of gods, Jagatpate, ruler of the world. So, Swami Chinmayananji was saying in one of his lectures about these verses that these are called universal prayers. They are not kind of mentioning any particular deity or anything like that. They are addressing that Bhagwan, and these are like facts, scientific facts. And when we go into the meaning, we will see how they are the scientific facts. So here, Arjuna is continuing. Before he really wants to ask certain questions, he's telling his feelings and kind of a prayer and a stuti. So he says a very important point, according to Nikhilananji over here. So in the previous verse, he said, look, Devta and Danavas also don't know you. The question is, who knows you? So is you know yourself by yourself. That's how it says. So it says, Swayam eva atmana atmanam vetha. Vetha means to know. So you're saying, Are Bapre, then, how will we know God? He's saying that you know yourself by yourself, So this is how he explained it. And, every Swami explains in a different way, and all of them are very important, the way they explain, but then maybe we'll get it. That by being Jiva, we cannot know him. Okay? So by being different from God, we cannot know him. So obviously it's like knowing God is being God. From that angle. We are too scared to say that, hey, I'll become God and all. Not from in a what you call some kind of arrogant way or anything. But, like from essential way. And how do we explain this? So this is a very famous example, Drishtant, by Ramakrishna Paramhansji. And I'm sure Joe must have heard this. And all of you may have heard this story. And it's just... this is the Drishtant. They just imagine, people have a different way of telling this story. So I'll just say the way I understood and all that. That suppose hypothetically there is a salt doll. Somebody made, right? Meenaji has heard this story. Whoever's not, you'll find it very interesting. So there is a salt doll, and one day this doll, in just the imagination, the doll says, मैं कहाँ से आई हूँ? I want to know my origin. So, it goes to a wise person, and wise person says, you have come from the ocean. This salt doll has no clue what the ocean is, right? In this story. So then the salt doll, it seems, starts walking. It's a fairy tale kind of thing. So that where dolls also walk. So walking towards the ocean and like getting excited. I'm going to know my origin, where I came from and all that. And going closer and closer and getting, looking this vast thing, getting amazed by it and all. And then say, I got to get more closer. And as it kind of enters the ocean, it starts melting away. And then it completely melts. And then he knows the ocean, becomes the ocean. You see that? I think this example says it all. So when you say that who God is, in that whole, Taittiriya Upanishad, they gave a path how to kind of do the vichar and go inwards and all that through the sheets and all. But when you reach that final sheet, then you get, oh, this is what God is, because now I have become God, something like that. So, and then he was just saying that this statement is there, aham brahmasmi, So when we experience God, we experience ourselves as God, that's what it is. And then we have so many different chants in our, scriptures. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Everybody's heard that. So I am that consciousness, and Shivoham means I am Shiva, like that, So so many Aham Brahmasmi Shivoham. And then Nikhilananji was saying that in the Shivoham also, I can know Shiva only as myself. I cannot know Shiva as somebody different, but my own self. And then in all the other scriptures, even in Ramayana, he was saying, Tulsidas ji also says the same thing to Ramchandra ji. He says, oh Bhagwan, you know yourself by yourself. So we have to understand this statement from all different angles. And the other way you can look at it is by your own grace you will know yourself. Because in the end, we were talking about it. We can just do the effort and reach a certain stage. Then Bhagwan has to do the grace. So you can look at it that way. And the other way you can say in that salt doll example, that you can know God by dissolving yourself. That's why they say neti neti and all that, or becoming zero. तुम्हारा अस्तित्व खत्म हो गया तब होएगा. Or by removing your little identity, I am this, I am that, and all that, and expanding your identity, connecting. And that is the whole thing about the different sheets. They are not talking about just the sheets at a micro level, but macro level also. So, we have to connect our all the sheet to the macro level. That's how you dissolve. So there are so many different ways. So he was just saying that that when you remove your little identity, some people might say, but what about me? Say, no, don't worry about it. You will become much bigger. You're not going to lose anything. We are so scared. And he's saying, if somebody says, no, I want to know God by keeping my identity. Suppose if somebody says, no, I want to know that. So he was saying, no, that's not possible. And he gave a very good example. He's saying, it's like saying that I want to know sleep. So you cannot know sleep until you give up the waking state. You have to give up one to go to the other. So I think that's a good example. If you say, I want to know sleep. So I say, are you awake or asleep? I'm awake. So then you're not in sleep. See what I'm saying? One or the other. That way you can understand that you cannot know God until you hold on to your identity. So, and then, so this is what it means. Know yourself by yourself. And I try to do it from all different angles. And then, Arjuna calls him addresses him by certain names. He calls him Purushottama, oh great Purush. And we saw that Purush word has come, the one who lives in the city. Jo Pur mein rehta hai wo Purush. But Bhagwan lives, for Bhagwan the whole cosmos is his home. He's like all pervading. So from that perspective, and obviously he's the best among the best, so usko Purushottam bola hai. And then he calls him Bhuta Bhavana. Bhuta Bhavan means from all the beings have come from you. They are born from you. We already know that, but this is a new word that we have learned. That's what Bhuta. Bhut means all the actually 5 elements, but here Bhut is addressing to the different beings, not only just human beings, but animal, plants, everything. Any living being comes from him. And then he calls him Bhutesha. And but then Ish is like the Lord. So Lord of all the beings. You are the master of all the beings. You are the leader, whatever words you want to use, controller, ruler, all that comes under that Bhutesha, Bhut-Isha. And then Deva. We saw that famous series, Devon Ke Dev Mahadev, right? So he is the Lord of all the Devas. And we already know that all the little Devtas and all have come from him only. So obviously he's the boss, And then Jagatpate, same thing. You are the Pati of this whole world, is master of this whole world. Owner of this whole world. That also you can say, in whichever way you want to say it. Originator of this world of the different beings. So many different words, English you can use. So, this is a kind of a simple one, but he's glorifying Bhagwan because वो उसके दिल से आ रहा है ये, all these names, and now he's comprehending more and more that who Krishna Bhagwan is. Because Krishna Bhagwan, when he was saying the Gita, he was one with Brahman. That's why he uses the first person, When he says I, he's referring to that Brahman. So, and then Nikhilanandji was explaining that this is called stuti. We have heard of this word in Sanskrit, like uski stuti karna. And so before you ask something from some higher self, God or Devata or anything, you do their stuti first. जैसे हम लोग आरती भी वही हो गया, वही भाव है, right? That आरती करना and all that, same thing. It's coming out of the heart. So he's saying that don't think of it just like memorizing something and then just spitting it out or something. That's not what he's doing over here. Memorizing some shloka and just repeating. And that's why even if we chant Bhagavad Gita, if we know the meaning, suddenly it becomes more beautiful, everything. When we go in the depth of it rather than just memorizing it. And he's saying that sometimes, when we start just memorizing and saying, we really don't pay attention to it. We're just saying it mechanically and all that. That's one danger. And the second danger is, वो संस्कृत का कुछ उल्टा सीधा हम लोग बोलते हैं, like pronunciation, तो उसका मतलब ही अलग हो जाता है. And he was just joking because, Nikhilanandji says funny things sometimes. He's saying, you will say something and meaning एकदम उल्टा हो जाएगा. भगवान बोलेंगे क्या बोल रहा है मेरे को? He'll be like shocked. ये स्तुति कर रहा है कि कुछ और ही बोल रहा है मुझे. So he was just kidding. But anyway, you got the gist what I'm trying to say. So, but here obviously he's speaking from his heart. And then next verse he starts requesting what he wants to know. So even though this is a very simple verse, but it's important. And we can read Swamiji's commentary. Because the other Taittiriya Upanishad, that one is a very, very difficult, important, and almost the culmination of those koshas are there. So that's why I can spend a little more time on it. And it helps us in both ways. So any question or comment? Or anybody has anything to add about God knows himself by himself, or yourself by yourself, he's saying. Yeah. And I always say that it was Osho's comment, this statement, he's saying you cannot see God, but you can be God. That also explains the same thing. And then the other example is a very, very good one. I think it is from Khalil Gibran's poetry about the river trying to merge into the ocean. It's very scared, and then it becomes the ocean itself. So you think you are losing something small, but you gain so much more that we have nothing to fear about with that example he was talking about. So it's the same concept about that. Yeah. Okay, so if there's no question, then any volunteers to read? Okay, Anilji.
Verily, you yourself know yourself by yourself. O Purushottama, Supreme Purusha, O Source of beings, O Lord of beings, O God of gods, O Ruler of the world. This stanza indicates how Krishna is capable of explaining the Supreme, which is not known by the denizens of the heavens or the hordes of the nether kingdom. The self is, of course, not known as an object through the intervention of our instruments of knowing, nor can it be apprehended as an object either through the best or through the worst in us. But at the same time, the self being awareness, it in itself is knowledge, and to know is needed. Therefore, it is said by Arjuna, you yourself know yourself by yourself.
So here Swamiji has brought out some other very deep points that we have discussed it earlier, but we can just, these are all technical things that we are talking about. And can you just hold on 1 second? I gotta take this phone call and I'll be just back, okay? I'm sorry. Hello? Sorry, I'm back. Okay. So now I lost my chain of thought. I don't know what I was saying. Okay. I know I was talking something about, we were discussing. Anyway, it might come back to me. Let's go to the next paragraph then.
You were talking about Swamiji and how he's expressed in different ways, what you have already discussed earlier, because he said the self, of course, is not known as an object.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you. So, the self is not known as an object to the intervention. Means we know that with our mind and body and intellect, we cannot comprehend. That's why they always say to transcend it. So then usually people's question is, if I'm not going to use my mind and my intellect, how will I know? So don't worry, because it's self-effulgent. And the best example is to look at the sun. We don't need another light. Sun illumines itself, or the moon also, you can say, even though it's a borrowed light, but I don't need to take a diya and look at the sun or the moon. They have their own light. So that's how it is. So when the time comes, when the God want to reveal himself to you, you don't need your mind and intellect. That's what they are trying to say. You apprehend them as an experience of it. So, and it's hard for us to understand that because we have not experienced, but we have to trust and have shraddha, and we have to believe all the other people that you are doing. That was one point that he made. And the second point that he made was, what was that? Objects, that the devas and danavas, right? That this word, the nether word, means a patal lok. So either by all our good qualities I cannot apprehend him, or like a negative quality, jabardasti, kisi ko bolte hain, jabardasti says, with all my power, I have this money, I have this thing, I have this power, I need to know. You cannot gain knowledge like that. So we know. But he's just repeating Swamiji's, he goes a little more in depth. Yes. Okay.
In the Sankhya philosophy, the spark of life in each individual is called Purusha, in whose presence the matter envelopments together constituting the Prakriti become vitalized. Here Krishna is addressed as Purushottama, meaning the self of all selves, the one without a second. In the Gita, the term Purushottama is sometimes used as the most glorious of men, and sometimes in the purely technical usage as the Supreme Self.
So Swamiji is just taking this word Purusha. Purushottama means Purusho me uttam. So that we understood, right? The Sanskrit meaning. Now this Sankhya philosophy, because there are 6 different branches of philosophy, they all explain slightly different way about God and you and the world. In the Sankhya philosophy, they use, and you have heard this word, Purush and Prakriti. And actually, I think in chapter 13, it's going to, Arjuna is going to ask that question. What is Purush? What is Prakriti? You want to know more. These are technical terms used. So Purush is referred to as consciousness. And Prakriti is the matter, or this world, the cosmos. And they both are needed for cosmos to come to manifest. And that's why this Shivaratri is, that is one symbolism of Shivaratri, because it's a marriage between Shiva and Shakti, because without that, the world is not going to manifest. We are all children of Shiva and Shakti because they got together. Or in some ways, the Brahman split itself into 2. That's why they call Ardhanarishwar also. There's so many symbolism about that. It's all the same, Purusha and Prakriti. And Prakriti, they both are needed. So you bole na kaun, who is superior, you can't even figure that out, because Purush by himself cannot do anything, and Prakriti by itself cannot do anything. You need their union for this thing to manifest. So from that perspective, he was explaining Purusha and Prakriti, that what it is. And self, one without the second, because at the purest level, it's only that Purusha anyway. And then saying sometime it is used most glorious of men, Purush Uttama, or sometime in a very technical way. It depends on the context. Okay? Here you can take it both ways, because Arjuna is getting more deeper. He's knowing who God is now.
In recent times, we have a new interpretation clumsily hauled upon the term Purushottama, according to which it is a state of realization higher than the Brahmika consciousness itself. The theory is still waiting for its confirmation, for in Hinduism, no theory, however appealing to the intellect it may be, is accepted readily until it is proved by a long line of realized men reporting it as their own intimate experience. It is too early to say that the rishis of the Upanishads had not experienced the Supreme Most, and that, having reached the Purushottama stage of realization, the perfected one can bring grace down upon earth. The novelty of this theory may appeal to the present age, because it will be presumptuous for anyone to accept it in the face of the Rishi definition of the Brahman, of the highest state of truth, beyond which there is nothing else.
Now, these are long sentences. You might be thoroughly confused what it is, but I can tell you the sar of it. I had to do some research. I had to do all that to figure everything out. But you see that one, there's a Aurobindo theory likha hua hai. Aur fir uske niche, there is they have said a verse from Kathopanishad. And it says chapter 1, section 3, and actually it's verse 11, because they're too confusing ho jata hai. But anyway, we have done Kathopanishad, but we may have forgotten because it's, but I'll summarize what he's saying over here, because this sentence is sound very confusing. So this word Purushottama, right? Highest. So now different Swamis may explain this differently, and when maybe Swamiji was writing this commentary, then maybe some people were getting confused about it or whatever, this word Purushottam, because it seems that, Aurobindo, who is from the south, kya naam hai uska, wo ek city mein hai wo, Pondicherry mein, haan. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. So उन्होंने कुछ समझाने की कोशिश की होगी कि what is this Purushottam, and some people they said, oh, there is a state higher than like this self-realization or something. It is something higher than that. So Swamiji is saying that we have to go by what these Upanishads are saying, because it is a time-tested thing. Okay? It has been peer-reviewed by hundreds of Rishi, Munis and all, and it's a very, because, this Shastra Praman is very, very easily accepted by everybody in that whole world. So, and then he quotes that क्या बोलते हैं कठोपनिषद का वर्स जिसमें उन्होंने जो वो स्टेट बताई है ना of self realization, that is the highest, and beyond that there is nothing else. The one that merging with God, uske baad, that's the ultimate, because that's why I say you have become that. So he's just saying that we will go by that theory. Baki, don't get confused ki, oh, there is a higher state also and there is something. We don't need to mess with all that. So we just stick with, what Swamiji is saying, because he's very learned, and 100 other people also saying the same thing. All the great Rishi Munis and all, and don't get confused about anything else. That's what he's saying.
Lord Krishna is now being recognized and glorified by Arjuna as the pure Brahman in the second line, where he addresses the Lord as the source of beings, the Lord of beings, the Deva of Devas, and the ruler of the world. The essential stuff in any object is the ruler and maintainer of its qualities. The quality of gold rules over all the qualities of various gold ornaments, whatever be their shape, design, polish, and so on. More than this is the controlling and the ruling power of the consciousness in our lives, inasmuch as without consciousness we know nothing of anything. An awareness or a knowledge is possible only when the mental and intellectual disturbances caused by it are illumined by the pure consciousness.
So he's just telling all these last 4 words that he used. Bhuta Bhavan, we saw everything is coming from God. Bhutesh, he's the boss. In simple words. Ruler bolo, controller bolo, boss is an easy modern word to understand. Deva, he's the, again, like the boss. Both, this word can go everywhere. The boss has a many different ways you can explain boss. He's controlling you. Everything is coming from him. But the main thing is Jagatpate. He is king of the universe, like they say in the Christianity. Uske bina kuch bhi nahi hai. And this actually yesterday happened. I was on some Zoom thing and I forgot to plug in my computer, and suddenly everything went blank because the battery went out. I'm just saying. So, हम कितने भी बड़े कोई scientist हो, कोई इतना बड़ा आदमी हो, if the life is not pulsating through him, it's nothing, dust. So that's why the last line, that an awareness or knowledge is also possible when the whatever disturbance we are having, disturbance thoughts, samjho, that it has to be illumined by that consciousness. Without that. So when he's saying these words, Bhut Bhavan, Bhutesha, Deva Deva, Jagatpate, he's thinking about that highest thing, and he's just expressing in different ways, But this electricity and equipment, this is a very good example. Like कितना भी sophisticated instrument क्यों ना हो, कितना भी simple क्यों ना हो, एक bulb भी क्यों ना हो, और एक sophisticated computer ही क्यों ना हो, without electricity, it's not going to work. So from that perspective, electricity has become the boss. But that gold and ornament example is even more deeper example, because no matter what the ornament is, gold is the boss, because you can never get away from it, the gold. You cannot say, I want to keep my ornament, but I don't want gold, or I want to take out the gold. No, they both go together. Ornament is nothing without the gold, and all the qualities of gold are in it, because it is part of the gold. So it's a vichar karne ki baat hai, all these 4 things. But like we were saying, that there are a lot of scientific meaning behind these words, and it's not referring to a particular god or particular deity or particular religion, that these expressing the truths that are there in the universe. Just like the law of gravity, you can call it whatever you want. You can give your own name, but they apply everywhere in the whole universe the same. So like that. Any question, comment?
So Umaji, I mean, we're getting to the point where we are the consciousness. We have come from consciousness. Consciousness is within us, but and the Rishi Munis have realized that. But the ultimate question still lingers, right? I mean, the utpatti of universe. Where
Why?
that is that we still. It's like, where did the consciousness come from?
So okay, that's everybody, and that's why they told you it is. Have you heard of the Sanskrit word as Swayambhu? Means
Yes.
so that's what it is. There is it's a causeless cause. That's what Swamiji said. So it is one of those things. If you go like that, you will 100% hit a wall, right?
Yes.
So we have to just accept it. It's something like this. If I draw a circle to you, and if I ask you, okay, Falguni ji, tell me. Oh, sorry. Are you with me?
No. I'm trying to this phone. Ring the junk calls and how to turn it off.
Okay. So suppose if I draw a circle, and after drawing, I say, okay, tell me where did it begin and where did it end? Will you be able to tell me? So we have to look at Bhagwan like that. That's why they have tried to use so many words. And sometimes they say that that's why you have to go beyond logic. Because, it's like, where they call it birthless and deathless. Because we are programmed to think like birth and death. But there is a state where there is no birth and death. And and that's exactly why they use the term, yourself by yourself. And when we come to Taittiriya Upanishads, we will see the similar thing, that unless you are in that state, we will never know, because we have questions when we are on the other side. When we merge, all the questions are answered. It's something like
the questions dissolve completely.
Yeah, they dissolve, because it's like that nadi that is saying, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? So scared and all that. And how can it be? What is the source of? Okay, now here, that is a good example. What is the source of the ocean? It's literally recycled. Ocean ka pani goes up, right, in the clouds, and then it rains all over the world, and then sab nadiyan aake usme mil jati hain. Then again it starts. You see the circle?
Yes.
We don't know the end of it. So there are several ways to apna mind ko shant karna. But we have done something in all the Upanishads when we come. Every Upanishad will give a creation theory. And the reason they have to give it also, because until something is told to human mind, it won't get satisfied. So temporarily they say, okay, this is a theory, whichever you like, your most favorite one. And there is a very famous one where when they say, ये सब स्यापा करने की जरूरत क्या थी भगवान को? बनाने की जरूरत क्या थी? इसलिए कि because it's like, us, we घर में बैठे, oh चलो, when we were younger, bore हो गए, चलो जाके drive कर रहे हैं. Why are you driving? Wasting the gas, or let's go to the beach, or let's go for a show, or let's go for a movie. Why are we doing all that? Entertainment, right? So भगवान को भी लगा कि चलो थोड़ा मजा करते हैं, if you like that theory. So, but that so many things are there in it, and everybody goes through that, what you're going through. But in the end, we just say causeless cause, no birth, no death. I don't know yet, but I want to get there. That's it.
Umaji, I mean, you can explain everything with the theory of evolution, but not the consciousness.
Yes, and that's why they get so confused. The modern scientists who don't believe in something higher, they hit a wall pretty bad, and they don't know. Then they start coming up with all kinds of strange theories. That's why I think that the most satisfactory answer is in Vedanta. It makes you think deep. And Vedanta is not against science.
No.
It is 100% in line with it. But it's just that they have gone beyond what moderns, and they have gone in that. But once these guys are finding out, because even I don't understand too much the quantum physics and all that, little bit here and there, but it seems that they are coming to the Vedantic truths only. From Akash se wo aaya, because in the end they also see nothingness only. From there, something comes, So they are kind of accepting our Vedanta a lot more, with lot more reverence than ever before right now, because of that. So, very interesting.
So you think that these Rishi Munis, they wrote all this just to make us feel that, to give us answers,
Yes, 100%, because it's something like what our teacher used to say, that you have a laddu ka thal and you ate it, and now you want to distribute it to everybody, because how come I taste it? Your loved ones, you want them to experience, and they look at the whole world as their own. They say, "Arey, mere ko itni achhi cheez mili, I want to explain it to everybody." And I want, and hum log, it's like somebody was saying this, one of my friends who was like a child psychiatrist also, and for her own daughter also, she was saying, sometimes, when teenagers sweat over such small, silly things, and we are now mature, they say, why are you sweating over this? This is nothing. But they think it's such a big deal. So that's what they are trying to tell us, that, hey, why are you sweating over small things? You are so amazing. You are that consciousness, This is just an experience. We may or may not believe them, but they try, Sure, that's what it is. So they have gotten the highest, and they wish for everybody to experience that high. And it's not like the world will go away or something. Like when we come to Taittiriya, that Nikhilananji made that statement, that it's not like after self-realization, I don't have to deal with the world, or the world will disappear or something like that. No, you will still be in the world. But then your attitude will change, and you will not get disturbed by it. That is called moksha. If somebody says, what is the definition of moksha? Then, they will say that moksha means kind of getting over all your dukkhas. Because it is not important. It's not it's just temporary. I'm not that anyway. But for us, it's very, very hard. But we have to have Shraddha. That's all it is,
So when they say bhoot, here it says beings, but what's the bhoot that we talk about? That bhoot?
Because India mein wo bhoot means, bhoot pret. So bhoot pret is, usko itna negative bana diya hai na, ki wo daravna and negative, and like that's all they do. They hurt you. If you very technically you go, bhoot is all the pancha mahabhoot, they call it, 5 elements, right? And when they talk about that particular bhoot, means somebody without the body, just in the subtle body. But it doesn't have to be some horrible creature who's going to hurt us, because when we die, we're going to drop our body too, and from that perspective, hum bhi bhoot ban jayenge. But we don't need to look at it that way. You can call it angels also. That's a much better word. Be angel. Means you don't have the physical body, but you are in that realm still. You are still existing, because your mind and intellect, your vasanas are still there. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Any other question on Bhagavad Gita? Then I'll close it here. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.